Adventurous kids, explore with education and learning what a wildlife is in the Everglades. I want to explore the Museum of Discovering Science. What plants do butterflies like? I want to know about Key West Adventurous Kids, learning and fun. Adventurous Kids!
Today I'm going to tell you about worms. Worms are soft, long-bodied invertebrates or animals without a backbone. There are at least 20,000 species or kinds of worms. They vary in size. Some are invisible to the naked eye, others are more than 100 feet long. The average lifespan of a worm is 4 to 5 years. Worms have existed for about 600 million years. They are found almost all over the world. Some worms live in water or soil. Other worms live in plants or inside the bodies of certain animals. 1 acre of land can contain around 1 million worms. Worms are not heavy eaters, however, they can eat the equivalent of their own weight in a day. Worms have a long, soft, often segmented body. They don't have legs, but instead are covered in hairs or bristles that help them to move. Worms lack organs that are vital for humans. For example, they do not have lungs. They breathe through their skin, which must remain moist to absorb oxygen from the air. Salt on human skin is toxic to earthworms because it dehydrates them. That is why they wriggle when people touch them with bare hands. Worms are cold-blooded and can have between 1 and 5 pairs of hearts. Many kinds of worms have a well-developed sense of touch. Many worms have sense organs that can detect changes in their environment. A few have light-sensing organs. One type of tube worm, called a feather duster, has feathery tentacles on its head. There are 4 main groups of worms: flatworms, ribbon worms, roundworms, and segmented worms. Flatworms. Flatworms are the simplest kinds of worms. They include flukes, tapeworms, and paronens, which live in ponds and lakes. Tapeworms and flukes are parasites that can affect human beings and many other animals. Ribbon worms. Ribbon worms look somewhat like flatworms, but many are larger, and most live in the sea. They feed on animals, including other worms and mollusks. Roundworms. Roundworms make up the largest group of worms. They have a long tube-shaped body that looks like a piece of thread. Roundworms are also called nematodes. Hookworms, threadworms, and pinworms are all nematodes. Some roundworms are tiny parasites that cause diseases in human beings and other animals and in plants. Segmented worms. Segmented worms, the most highly developed kind of worm, look as if they have rings around their bodies. They include earthworms, leeches, and marine worms. They usually live in water or underground. Leeches make up the smallest group of segmented worms. They have a flat body with a sucker at each end. They live in water and feed on the blood of fish and other water creatures. The word worm also may be used to describe worm-like creatures. The larvae of certain insects look like worms. For example, firefly larvae are called glowworms. One type of legless lizard is commonly called a slowworm or blind worm. Some people believe that caterpillars and grubs are worms, but they're really insects. The myth of both parts of a worm surviving when it has been cut in two is not true. Only the part with the head attached will survive. Thanks for watching this Adventurous Kids episode.
What did you learn today?
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
What was the most interesting fact?
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous